Oh, there we go.
Hey, hey kids, it's me, Johnny Fox, with another Sniktcast. Joining me this week, as you can already see, is the award-winning
Oh,
Dan Skinny. Um, I'll pass it straight over to you. You tell the kids at home a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
I'm a comedian, poet, cabaret performer. What do? I do character-based comedy mixed with surrealist sort of humour. I'll try anything to try and laugh out from people. I think that's my stick.
And God knows we could all use a laugh right now. The world's on fire, kids. So go see a comedy show. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing standing in front of strangers. I'd say, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, something like that. Comedy is a bit more recent, but yeah, that need to sort of fill the void within has been there for some time.
How's this? It's like a full-time thing, or do you have to have a shitty day job like I do?
Yeah, I've got a life that's somewhat normal behind the scenes, but yeah, no. But the aim would be to make it more full time and yeah, just tour the country and just show the world my particular type of comedy and show more people what I do.
Yeah, so it's like you say, character-based comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I started mainly doing sort of character sort of stuff. I think the stuff that yourself has seen is a new show and a new thing I'm working on, which is more me being myself a little bit more. But yeah, usually I hide behind a sort of veil of a character that I find a lot more comfortable doing normally.
yeah. So it's a little bit different to the straight stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
With with the anecdotes and the gags. It's not quite like that, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say I could never do that, but it's just. I suppose there's many different types of comedian, but I've never seen myself as maybe the everyman or the class clown as such. I've just seen myself as the sort of weirdo that sort of yeah, feels like I need to monetize that weirdness in some way to make it justified.
Right. So what were your inspirations to bravely go out and do this kind of thing?
Uh, what motivated me to do it? That's an odd one, really. I'm not too sure. I can't really pinpoint why it is. We could get into the deeper psychology of it, but it's sort of just an odd thing that's just been there. I remember when I was very small, I entered the talent contest. Well, everyone had to enter a talent contest for a holiday camp. And it didn't matter if you had any talent. Every child had to enter and do something. And I thought I'd just do tap dancing because I'd seen it on TV or something. And thought, well, that's not too difficult. You just move your feet. And I love the bravery of a child that just goes, yeah, well, I can stand up in front of 200 people or whatever and just tap away, even though I've never had a single tap lesson in my life. I didn't win, robbed. Know what that is, but yeah. My brother sang Michael Jackson's "We Are the World," so I don't know who fared better, really.
So what are some of your, I don't know, comedy, maybe not idols, but comedy, the comedy greats that you enjoy?
Well, from I've always just really loved comedy. I think I would just sort of sneak on into only my brother had a TV in his bedroom, so sometimes when we were sent to bed or whatever, and I'd sneak into his room and we'd watch Red Dwarf or something like that, or some other types of comedy shows. So Red Dwarf, just general TV comedy was the first sort of love. In terms of sort of stand up, but I suppose I was very attracted to the comedy of a comedian called Pee Wee Herman, which isn't so well known over these shores.
Yeah.
More of an American phenomenon, but he used to have a show called Pee Wee's Playhouse that I somehow managed to catch growing up, which was just amazing. Really, it was just sort of he was such an oddball character in an oddball world. Really, all the sort of furniture would come alive and sing and dance, and different characters would knock on the door, and I don't know, I just found that really mesmerising as a child. So certainly that played a part. And then stand-up wise, I just really got as a teenager just into more of the sort of alternative comedians. Vic and Bob I liked a lot, and then I watched Man on the Moon with Andy Kaufman biopic, and I was just fascinated by him because he was brave enough to not even worry about making the audience laugh as such. It went beyond just trying to get almost that carnal response of a laughter. It was something a bit more cerebral, really, trying to sort of play with the audience and try and play with the his role on stage. And I just very much liked his bravery. I just found that very funny. Sandy Kaufman I like a lot, and a few of the American ones that are a bit sort of odd, like Emo Phillips. He's a one-liner comedian who doesn't just I suppose I can't feel myself ever that similar to that sort of everyman character, like Likely Lad, because I just don't feel like that within myself. So I'm more drawn to people that just seem a bit strange, because I want to be filled with wonder on when I watch something on stage. I don't want to just see someone who's dressed in jeans and Converse trainers just saying in his nan's fridge. It's just not. It's not going to be to me really. I understand the art that goes into that, though. And when you do see stand up done well, I mean, I can't speak like someone like Peter Kay or something like that. It's great, I'm not a sort of comedy snob or anything, just a lot of it I just find quite sort of base or just a bit sort of provincial and just a bit boring.
Fair play.
Yeah.
So what's your sort of like the writing process like? Do you kind of make yourself some space, sit down and go, right, I need some new material? Or do you just, is it you just, taking things in and inspiration hits you when you're obviously busy doing something else and just trying to remember shit? And
well, I suppose because I started with more poetry stuff, that sort of process of sitting down and writing is a bit more normal for me, and because I don't do comedy that I feel that is referential to my own existence. I rarely do it sort of based on my own experiences because life's quite boring, and I wish I could make it more interesting, but I have to sort of conjure up a world, and that's a bit easier to write, I think, for me, because then I can just sort of make up any old nonsense. And I also just I think if you a lot of my stuff is sort of disguised as one-liners really, and I think with one-liners, either you're walking around and just someone says a phrase and you can sort of twist that and turn that, and I like that process. It's almost like a little puzzle. But you can also just crank them out in some ways. You just write. I think I've maybe got that from Jimmy Carr or something like that, but I think you just essentially you can do that sort of side of comedy if you're just diligent about it. If you're willing to sort of just sit and write 100 shit jokes a day, something like that. I don't say I'm doing that because I wish ethic, but I need to sort of rediscover that. But there was a period where I was just sort of like, oh, I'm going to commit to sort of just trying to write 10 one-liners a day or something like that, and then eventually, after a year, I had one good joke.
Yeah.
So, that's what we need to do, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought. I mean, I like to think I'm kind of a funny guy. I like to think I'm quite quick-witted. Like I said, within the framework of a real conversation,
yeah,
someone says something, I will pick up on it. I will turn it into what I want it to be. Make myself laugh, if nobody else, or whatever. But the idea of to sit down and write, 5 minutes of funny, 10 minutes of funny, 20 minutes, an hour of funny, to just sit down and consciously try and be funny. I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be funny if I was trying to.
Yeah.
But like I said, those natural conversationally funny, I can do that.
Right.
So when I see almost any form of stage comedy, I'm always just in awe of all of you guys and the variations of it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I suppose I do sit down and try and write something funny, but I'm also just trying to write an interesting turn of phrase sometimes, or just fun. I think, I mean, yeah, I think John Hegley said this, but yeah, all comedians are kind of poets, really. And if you look at the language of a lot of comedy, it is poetry.
Yeah.
Dissimilar. It's putting the right word in the right order that has that effect. And there are tricks and things that people along the way, but I think there's a bit of an instinct about what you find funny, and you can only really realise that when you put it in front of people and hope that they find it the same. But yeah, that's the exciting part. That's the sort of roller coaster.
Yeah.
Enjoyment side of it is sort of gives you the sort of buzz, really.
Yeah. So you must have, completely bombed.
Oh.
Once or twice, right? How do you develop the mental toughness to to come back from that?
Oof. I hadn't really bombed that much. I suppose maybe I'd been playing it a bit safe or something, but yeah, when it does hit, it's almost sometimes I feel like it's inexplainable because you can't understand why. It's like that's where I'm trying to get as a performer, and I like to see myself as an artist, but the craft, I suppose, is picking yourself up and trying to sort of edit the material to make it work next time. But sometimes it just feels like, I can't quite pick up on why they one audience found it funny and another audience didn't find it funny, and how do I adapt it for them, or do I need to adapt it, or was it just a case of that it's square pegs in round holes sometimes? But I bombed. Yeah, I mean, one of the worst ones was I'd been doing it maybe a bit, and I hadn't really. I'd started doing bits. Because there's been a lot of breaks in between for comedy for me, because I started and then stopped, and so I started. I had a couple of gigs. Maybe I was only 10 gigs in or something like that, and then got a chance to do a gig in my hometown where I'm from. I thought, brilliant, I'll go back to, I left when I was 18, so I've not been there for a while. I thought, I'll go back, show them that I'm the king of comedy. Just sort of, look at me now. And I did a routine about playing football and needing a wee, And then, I mean, looking back at it now, yeah, because really, but it was, about doing a wee and sort of, because I was nervous and it's cold or something, and then leaving a patch of wee and then trying to sort of cover up the wee by rubbing. This is why I don't do true stories, but yeah, trying to sort of not show the other team that I was nervous and then I had a patch of piss around me crotch area. So I tried to sort of rub it out by sort of humping the ground to sort of make it look like dirt. And then I told him this story, and and then it was so bad that the compare, usually they're quite nice to sort of thing, but even he pulled me down the river. So it was like, it was toe curling. But I think I'm reasonably resilient because when I was 16, me and my twin brother we had ambitions to be musicians. Really, we were in a band and we wanted to, but we just didn't practice. That was crucial. But we were in a band. We entered the talent contest, another talent contest, and we decided that we were at that age where a little bit emo, a little bit sort of austere, a little bit like, oh, come on, bring on the world sort of thing. We wanted to do Nirvana's Rape Me, the song Rape Me. Terrible song, really. But it was, we just saw it as sort of like a protest. And yeah, just teenage boys just doing a song like that. And then, we were sort of garnered with the sort of moniker of the Rapey Twins, which is not really a decent nickname, really. You want passing around school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't really have the sort of effect that we wanted. Really, we wanted like a sort of like, fuck you, school, and instead just further. Terrible decision. I mean, outrageous.
Well, but from that to the award-winning person that sits before us now. How was that? You got your head around that yet?
Yeah. No, it was very pleasing. It's great to have that sort of validation. Makes you feel all nice and that. But it's short-lived, isn't it? You've got to move on. Sarah Millican said you can only, if you've had a bad gig or a good gig, as soon as that morning sun rises, that's it. It's on to the next day. So I was thrilled, but I had a gig the next day, so I had to prepare for that. So I couldn't really settle in and enjoy it as much. So I had to go and pretend to be a son the following day. So that's where it goes. Yeah, but no, it was great. It was a great feeling, and because it's scary doing the competitions. I've entered a few of the gong shows. And they're just a bit brutal because they just sort of hate the time constraint. Especially, I feel like the comedy that I do is very much what I like to do is have an experience with the audience. So it's sort of a shared thing, and I find that quite hard to sort of contain in 5 minutes because you're not building a sort of relationship with them to sort of really play with it as such. I like the challenge and still want to sort of try and practice that because I think it's good and sort of humbling, and I think it's really good for new comedians. Although as daunting as it is, it's actually a really good process to sort of help you get over nerves for later things. Maybe I haven't done the Gullier School of Clowning, but I know he's quite brutal, isn't he? When he sort of savagely sort of says whether or not you're doing something that's funny. And some people are like, oh, that terrifies me. Like, I think, that's actually quite useful, isn't it? Because I'd rather have some octogenarian French clown telling me I'm shit rather than Dewsbury. Much more enjoyable. What's your worst, mate?
All art is subjective, right? So
no, it's rubbish. Some of it's better than others. No, it is.
That's a big thing for me. I always was. I never quite understood like no one. There's certain, depending on the form of art, there's only a certain amount that someone can sort of teach you from like a technical standpoint or whatever. You know that, mixing these two colors makes that third color if you want to paint or whatever. But like, some people sell fucking pictures of matchstick men for fucking millions, and other people, do things way more detailed and intricate than that, and can't sell a fucking thing or whatever. So it's all in the eye of the beholder and all of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
anyone trying to grade you, trying to rate you, trying to give you like a pass or a fail on
yes,
a course, as always, I've always felt conflicted with that.
yeah, but I think there are some things you can where tutelage is quite useful. Yeah, I do. I mean, like Van Gogh got chucked out of art college. To me, then is he the most successful artist? So yeah, you take it with a pinch of salt. But I think there are, I've been on plenty of the few planning workshops I have been on. Some have been shit, but some of them have been really quite eye-opening and very useful in terms of how I approach certain bits of performance or comedy. I think so. There's definitely sort of value in learning things, but yeah, trying to sort of teach. I don't know if you can teach all elements of comedy. You should. I think that you have to have your own instinct a little,
Yeah.
but you can certainly learn certain tricks or learn certain tropes or experiment as well. I think it's just good for that, isn't it? Just to sort of put yourself out into a different. If you're used to just doing sort of fairly straight comedy, then to go and put yourself in a position where suddenly you've got to do something that's quite out of your comfort zone, that's only going to strengthen your palette, your comedy palette, maybe. Yeah. I had to put restrictions on what people can do.
All right, kids, if you're just joining us, this is the award-winning. I'm going to keep saying it because it makes him do that face. Yeah. The award-winning Stan Skinny.
Yeah.
Variety, cabaret, comedy, character, performer. Just go fucking see a show and then you'll get it. All right.
Well, thanks. Thank you.
It's about that time in the show. I wish I could fondle a gopher or something, but I haven't got one. So it's about the time in the show where we're going to play a little bit of this or that. No wrong answers, no prizes, because God knows I don't get paid for this shit, so I ain't got money to be giving away to people as prizes. I'll keep it simple and start, as I always do, with the good old-fashioned cats or dogs.
And just 2 words, because it's different. Yeah, I've got different feelings between cats and dogs because I've had I rescued a cat and it changed my whole feeling towards them. And they're very misunderstood creatures if you've never had one, and I quite like that about them. So in my current setup, I'd probably prefer to have a cat, but dogs are better. I do like cats, but I feel they're different. They're too different. I won't elaborate on since it's only got to be 2 words, one or the other. But I'll say that because although I've just woken up this morning to the smell of cat piss from somewhere in the neighbourhood has broken in and done a dirty protest in the house somewhere, and that's a dog wouldn't do that. But I was told that cats do that to sort of bond with you. Very unusual way of bonding. I wouldn't want to piss on someone's couch just to sort of bond with them.
But don't knock it till you've tried it. I mean,
No. I probably prefer a bit more of a gentle introduction, but why not? But yeah. So, and it's
So,
anyway, carry on.
Moving on. Beer or wine?
I'm gonna go with I'll go with wine. I'll go with wine. I look cultured then.
Right. So see if you can stay cultured with pizza or kebab.
Ooh. I suppose if I was never going to have one or the other, I couldn't go without pizza, so I'll go pizza.
You can always
Again,
have kebab on your pizza. So like
kebab pizza. Yeah, well, that would be.
Okay. Country retreat or city living?
Country retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which everyone says that, to the point that the country is now the city. So you've fucked it up. But
Yeah.
I think.
Personally, I think our own human journey is to retreat back into the sea. I think that's why we enjoy holidays.
I think it
We
probably
don't
is.
want to return now, really.
Well, speaking of sea, do you rather go skydiving or scuba diving?
Neither would appeal. Scuba diving. I have swum with turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a joke there. That should be a good set.
Used to be. I absolutely. Okay. Do you consider yourself a leader or a follower?
Leader. But annoying leader, though. A solitary leader. A lone wolf.
Yeah, the best way.
Yeah.
Okay. Big parties or small gatherings?
Oh, big parties.
Yeah.
Big raver. Yeah.
All right. Would you rather have money or free time?
I suppose free time.
What else have we got here? Oh, would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf?
Vampire is far more sexy than werewolf.
Everybody says there's nothing wrong with being a fucking furry, hairy mammal.
No.
I'll fight for the wolf every time. Okay, we'll get to the really controversial ones now. Polka dots or stripes?
Stripes.
Fair play. The more I do this, and I threw that question down because I wanted X amount of ones and I couldn't think of anything interesting, and it just kind of got out of it. It's the one that people seem to spend the most time thinking on and taking most seriously.
I don't think I've ever considered, one or the other, really.
Oh, to the point, I had one guest, they needed to know, is it horizontal or vertical stripes? I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'd not thought my own question that far through, Like, I wasn't prepared for that. Okay. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Yeah?
Yeah. Although,
like?
Star Trek's richer story-wise, but Star Trek's more entertaining. No, Star Wars is more entertaining. Yeah.
Fair point. Fair review. Now, would you rather see a puppet show or a magic show?
Puppet show.
Yes! Another vote for puppets.
No.
Definitely. Okay, I'm trying to race through this without seeming like it's too racy. So I like to ask people, this could just be a one-word answer, or it could be a huge story, but have you ever seen a UFO?
As a kid, I mean, I have. Well, as a kid, I thought I saw Santa Claus in the sky once. Thought I saw his sledge.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever seen an alien. I'd like to. I think I'd be welcoming. Them in. I'd give them a good guide to life on.
Well, see, the thing is, I mean, they have been rebranded now as UAPs.
Oh, really? I've not heard.
Yeah, because over the years, through people and I guess obviously entertainment and the media, there's that connection. You say UFO and people think alien, when obviously it isn't. It's just an unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
If it's flying and you can't identify it, it's a UFO. I mean, I see, birds. I know it's a bird, but I don't know what kind of bird it is. So it's somewhat unidentified to a point. That's a semi-unidentified flying object or whatever. But so I think particularly the American government has rebranded as something like unidentified aerial projectile or something like that. And to try and separate it from the alien side of things. But nobody's playing along, I don't think. That's the official line, but I don't think anybody is ever saying UAP.
No.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
No, I don't believe in ghosts.
No, never seen a ghost. Never had, never just, that something in the corner of your eyes. There's definitely something there, and then there's not. So.
Well, I heard some noises, but it could have been just the neighbours being shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
True. So.
Back to the show.
Now, you've had a deja vu, though, right?
Yeah, I get deja vu.
Yeah. Now, what's that? What's that all about? Have you ever had such a big? And this is from personal experience, so I like to ask this, find out if I'm, insane or not. But ever had a deja vu where you kind of live inside it for a while? Like, there's that one thing that happens that triggers the sense of deja vu. You know, the cat walks past, whatever, and pisses somewhere it's not supposed to. Because it likes you. And it's, deja vu. The cat's done that before. And then sort of with inside it, you can start to be able to predict, and this is when there's a knock at the door. And then there is a knock at the door. Mm. And I've had this, and I've done this, and I've predicted, like, I've had the first encounter, and then I kind of knew 3 following things that were coming.
Oh, right.
Which is freaky as fuck, like within the same, a couple of minutes time period. And we do live very repetitive lives, a lot of people. Certainly if you're up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you always catch this bus and you always take this route to work and you always do. So there's a certain amount of, we do the same thing. So it has in fact happened before. But when you get one of these things, and it is definitely the first time you have ever been to Spain, so this has not happened before. What the fuck is that?
I don't know. What is that? I mean, I do have an inkling sometimes about divine providence, the idea that, I don't know, something's happened for a reason. I like that sort of idea. Or that you've been led down a certain thing, or something's happened to sort of, there's a bit of that. Like when I get sacked from jobs, I don't think, it's because I was useless. That was meant to be. It was meant to be. And I think that's kind of ingrained in humankind, isn't it? To sort of help us deal with the awfulness of existence. No, hardly that. We've got to believe that there's something to help us through it. Anyway, that's what I think. Everyone's sort of got an optimistic outlook to help them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're optimistically pessimistic. Like we're optimistic that something bad's going to happen, but it's still delusional, isn't it? That sort of stuff fascinates me.
Yeah. So, before we get too deep down some metaphysical rabbit hole, well, and I'll let you get going shortly. We'll pull it back to the bread and butter of what I do here at Snikt, and I'm going to ask you, what was the last film you watched that you'd recommend?
Oh,
It doesn't
yes.
have to be a new film. It could be a really old
No,
film,
no.
or
This is perfect, actually. I just watched a film called Perfect Days, and you can get it on the streaming site Mubi. I don't want to say that I'm representative of that organisation for it, but if you can get it through other means, I would heavily recommend watching that. I think so many films are so miserable. I mean, I just before this, I was watching Iron Claw because some people had mentioned it on Facebook, and I was like, just that was just 2 hours of just every 10 minutes there's something more miserable happening, more miserable, especially about wrestling. And I like wrestling. And yeah, God, so bleak. But Perfect Days, I think changes your outlook for the better. I think anyone that watches that film, I can't help but think they would not be feel more emboldened about their own life and not sort of pitting themselves against this arbitrary nature of I've got to be this, I've got to be that. You know, it's a film about just sort of reflecting on life's small joys and just changing your outlook from doom and gloom to a sort of more of a sort of God, isn't it great? Isn't it? Isn't these small tasks brilliant? So it's a film about I believe it's a Japanese film about a toilet attendant who goes around and cleans toilets, and I think in any other sort of I suppose any other film that might seem because his days seem repetitive and they seem monotonous, and in other people's hands that might seem like a dark dystopian script, but actually it's just about how this guy just sort of really embraces those processes and just he just embraces that joy of life with so it's a wonderful film. I'd heavily recommend that.
Oh, fantastic! I will get on that this very weekend.
Yeah.
So, so do you have any favourite particular actors, actresses, or directors that, like, if they're involved, it's a must watch?
Oof. I used to have the Steve Buscemi law in my own, which is basically any film that Steve Buscemi is in, it's usually a good one. It doesn't matter if he's in for 5 minutes or all the way through. I think that's usually a pretty good barometer, really.
Yeah.
Actor-wise, and also he's doing a film called Tree Lounge, which is one of my favourite films. A very simple film that he's in that I really like. Have I got a favourite director? I used to be into sort of like Werner Herzog and things like that, and just sort of slightly more art house films directors. So and maybe so. I quite like just. I suppose without sounding wanky, I do like watching a foreign language film because your expectations aren't as slightly different, aren't they? I think you slightly different, so they always make you, I think, reflect in a different way. Because you're reading the film or something like that, or having to really pay attention. I think you're much more absorbed in the story, and so that's I think that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's also just those differences, those nuances in the culture.
Yeah,
that will simply, as you were saying with Perfect Days, that you're just a big, Hollywood director just wouldn't make that film. It would like never occur to be an option.
Yeah.
Or certainly it'd have a different tone.
Yeah.
With the screenplay, but then the tone that they would take it in would probably be drastically different. So it's good. It's like I say, it's horizon broadening and then maybe getting out your comfort zone. I'm a big fan of checking out world cinema, regardless of really plot or anything particular. I'll just give almost anything a chance if I have the time.
Yeah. I suppose maybe because we've all been a bit spoiled with these sort of streaming services, but just yeah, I've got to the point where maybe I've just watched a lot of films, and yeah, I'm at the sad, cynical point where I find it a lot. I hate Marvel sort of films, and a lot of sort of Hollywood stuff is just so tame and just not that interesting. But
yeah, it's like particularly. I think if you're a horror fan, like you've got to go sort of Asian, Korean, Japan, or like Italian.
yeah,
I mean, the Italians have been knocking out great horror movies since certainly like the 60s, 70s, definitely. But I think you've got to, because I think with Hollywood movies, it's like you see these great trailers or these billboards or the fucking double-decker bus telling you it's the scariest movie of the year, and then it's like rated 12. The scariest movie of the year is suitable for school children.
yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
sound that scary to me.
yeah.
Like it could be a great film, could be well made, well acted, well lit, everything else or whatever. But like you're selling this on scary,
Yeah.
and then the powers that be have said it's quite all right if children watch this. So I'm kind of skeptical that it's really going to get me skin crawling, And lo and behold, it does not.
I think there's something in you have to be careful. I think it has an effect on what you watch and how you feel. I tried to steer away. I did like horror, but I steer away a little bit now because it just raises my anxiety sometimes. It just makes me feel a bit like, oh, I don't want to be in that feeling. I don't want to be in that headspace.
Yeah.
People be killed, really. Sometimes but I do enjoy horror through when it's playful and it's more cartoonish.
Yeah.
I'm really watching at the cinema. I just thought it was so much fun because it was so silly, just like oh, he's here and he's there. I mean, I thought that was more of a thrill ride. So yeah, but the more psychological sort of ones, they just stick with you for ages, and then you've got to just sort of sit with it at night and go, because I have to try and work it out. I've got to try and, like, if it's a serial killer or a sort of, yeah, but what was their motivation? But why would what I have to sit with it? I have to go like, but why would they do it like that? Why? I don't really want to try and sort of understand the thought cycles.
Did you check out the Civil War recently? Kirsten Dunst with the photo. So a pair of photojournalists on a road trip and through America while there's basically a civil war going on. It's kind of present day or like near future and alternate future. That was a great film. I mean, it's very low key. Okay, there's nothing overly positive about it if you're not in the mood to be kind of on a bit of a downer when it ends, but I think it does some really great, like the character development and the relationships with a very small tight cast that you just follow and spend that time with, and go through what they're going through, and then when they come across obviously the various incidents that they discover on the trip, and they're taking the photos. It puts up these still images, like the photographs they've taken, kind of like interrupting the live action, if you will. And I just think it's like a really, really nice touch, and it's just really, really interesting. That it's relatively short, but it's a little harrowing and maybe a little too close to comfort in the realism stakes, perhaps, if you're paying attention to what happens across the pond right now, which is kind of why I think it didn't have too much fanfare on release and kind of flew under the radar. I think they may have forgot that, let's not exactly throw millions advertising this, because, especially an American audience definitely doesn't necessarily want to see it. I mean, they're fucking living it, You maybe go to movies for escapism, so, but yeah, I thought that was a really, really well done, just really well made, interesting movie. Like you said, aside from, I mean, I'm quite partial, to people in brightly coloured suits flying around, shooting the laser eyes at each other, to be honest. But I do love like a genuinely good movie, and they do seem to have become a little thin on the ground. At least from,
I think
that's maybe a bit harsh, but
no, yeah. I mean, sure. There's lots of great films. There's lots of great music. People like I don't want to ever get to the stage where I'm like, oh god, it's not as good as it was 10 years ago.
yeah.
Maybe it's harder to find sometimes. Maybe I just like the long films. Just long boring films. Bring back long boring films. Like you can't make a trailer look interesting, but bring back those. I think what's that? What was that last year? One was Robert De Niro and that was a nice long boring film. That was good. Robert De Niro and it was about American Indians. But anyway, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's going to bug me now. But
killing.
yeah, I recently speaking of De Niro, I gave Casino a rewatch for the first time in quite some time. That's a long ass film. I didn't realise.
Yeah, that's nice. It's a nice long film. It's good. You can sit with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not. That was not part of my memory. Yeah, perfect. That's great because you don't actually need to try and do the voice. If you can, do that, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Yeah. Fantastic. So, speaking of music, what gets your toes a tapping and your head a nodding?
More recently, I've got into dance music, so I'm just trying to keep the wolf of death far away. So I just try and do anything that's fairly energetic now, really.
Because
unlimited. I like to see live bands, but I'm very esoteric, really. I like to sort of get into a sort of meditative state, really. I think I find that very enjoyable. But and dancing, I just really love dancing, and there doesn't seem a lot of opportunities to do that, really. I like just hearing new things. I don't like to be stuck in listen to the same thing. I still do, but I like to try and find new things all the time. So
yeah,
I'll probably be in 10 years' time. I'll probably be into brass bands or something like that. I'll try and oh yeah, oh really? You're into that? And I'll be like, I'll turn my nose up. Oh no, I'm into brass now. But,
yeah, I tend to find I'm listening to either like electronic, a lot more electronic music with what you want to call it, dance or whatever it is, dance, trance, techno. I don't know all the terminology. I'm an old man, but
yeah,
a lot of that. Or if I'm listening to something a bit more like a traditional sort of rock band, again, I'm listening to like a lot of like Japanese bands or Scandinavian bands. And again, I think it's the not listening to the English language. I have been listening to the English language for the majority of the last 45 years. I feel like I've heard it all. Like there's a certain melody, a pattern, a poetry. There's only so much, and then to like taking like the exact same formula of a verse, chorus, whatever standard sort of rock song, but you do that, and it even lyrically the motif, the story that they're telling is the same old like boy meets girl, boy loses girl, whatever. But you do that in Japanese, and all of a sudden, I just find it way more interesting to listen to. The guitars and drums might be basically the same, but vocally, it's like a whole new world, and I love that.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, I'm a big fan of lyrics and the poetry of songs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, music it taps into that ineffable part of us, that part of us that is expressionless through words. It's beyond words, and so sometimes we need to sort of the words maybe distract us from that core understanding of what a piece of music is trying to tell us. And yeah, that's why. Yeah, definitely. I also like it when someone like Bjork, for example. I like that translation English when it doesn't quite translate as sort of normally. So then you get much more interesting sort of lyrical combinations, really, and so. I think the brain just fires up on that because it just goes, oh, hold on, what does that mean? And when you put unusual words together, suddenly then, the brain is got to question what the meaning is, and anything that just shakes the brain out of that slumber, I think that's always a good thing. But I'm afraid I might have to sort of depart because I've got a evening.
Not a problem. Let's wrap this up, kids. This is the award-winning. Did it again? Does it every time? The award-winning Stan Skinny.
Thank you for having me.
Comedy, variety, cabaret performer. Just get out and see. Have you got any upcoming gigs you just want to plug, real quick? Where can we see you next?
Well, I do keep on the Instagram because I've got some big plans for coming up. But I've got a few gigs here and there. I'm doing Nottingham Comedy Festival, Hull Comedy Festival. They're going to be in November. I've got a couple of shows that I'm in development. So news for that will be coming out soon.
Good. Well, you heard it here first, kids. Big plans coming. Keep it. The name you're looking for is Stan Skinny. Get on those socials. Give it a follow. Keep in touch. Get out there, see him when you can. And
thanks
with that, I'll bid you a fond farewell.
Cheery, bye.
Cheery, bye. Bye, bye, bye. Hey, Stan Skinny. Check him out. Fantastic. I've first-hand knowledge of seeing the guy live, and it was indeed an experience. And what a lovely guy to talk to. So always great. That's why I do this. I'll be back if you're watching this live. If you're watching this like next week on YouTube or something, this bit makes absolutely no sense. But you'll also be able to find the video from this Sunday that I'm going to do with the Game Beaters. We're going to talk some video games. We're going to talk some rock music because they're also in a band. That'll be very cool. That's be the same time this Sunday, 7 p.m. UK, this Sunday with the Game Beaters. And Woos! The band's called Woos, which is just so much fun to say. How often do you get to say Woos? I'm going to say it again. Woos! This Sunday. But for now, tatty bye.